time when I would read Czech writers and then French writers and then English writers. So I think it depends on my mood and what I'm doing.
For me, it depends on the genre. I certainly have my favorites, authors that you wish would publish more and more frequently. The biggest love of my life is from the Magic Realist School, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I love him. I love him. When there was this horrible fake out that he had died, I cried. Yeah, it's so sad. I read a lot, and among my favorite authors that you should look for are Kelly Link and Jeffrey Ford. They're American writers of speculative fiction. But more importantly, I'd like to plug various Filipino writers. And you should look for them in our anthology. We cannot pay those rates. You change the US dollar to Philippine peso, divide by the rate of the peso dollar, circa, something like that. And then take away hope and dreams, you'll be left with like $50. Yeah. And like Chris said, I also go through phases. There are times I can't stand fiction. I'd rather read non-fiction. And that's when I go for the dummies books. I love them. I love them. On a recent trip to Singapore, we went to that lovely bookstore that I can't pronounce. Yeah, that one. And I pillaged their dummies books. Lovely.
I guess being a business publisher, I should say something about business publishing, but frankly I'm sick and tired of business books by the end of the day, so I rarely ever read business books. I'm actually a history buff, so I love it. There's an English author called Giles Milton who is fantastic. Oh, yeah, isn't he fantastic? Yeah. Yeah, oh, it's superb, yeah. So Big Chief Elizabeth and Samurai William and various titles like that. They're fantastic books. I read all of his titles, I think. And again, fiction, it was, I just read pretty much all sorts of letters that grabs me at the time. I think William Boyd I particularly like, I guess, but on the fiction front, it's pretty good. Yes, so I'd say more this bit later. I've been reading a lot of music books. I've been doing a bit of writing myself recently. So I probably shouldn't have mentioned that and said pale in comparison with you guys. But it's something about Keith Richards. So I've been reading a lot of books about wild men and rock and roll recently, which is a lot of fun anyway.
Dean Alfar, because you said you like comic books.
I love comic books.
Yes, I love comic books. So, do you like Marvel or DC?
I love everything.
Everything.
But my very first comic book was Omega the Unknown. How obscure is that? I was very young. My father sent me. He was in the Air Force, so he got these comic books off for no doubt super cheap. He sent me a big comic buy-in box. First thing I got was Omega the Unknown. I didn't understand it. Okay. So I love the Marvels, I love the DC, I've been collecting them since God knows before. For me, the golden age was the New Teen Titans by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, along with X-Men by John Byrne and Chris Claremont.
The early 80s when I was born.
The early 80s, yes, the Dark Phoenix saga prior to your life. Because you grew up in the 1990s, I guess. Yeah, poor you.
No!
Yeah, but you can download them now. Currently, I'm enjoying Jeff Johns. His run on Green Lantern. This is really cool. We just finished Blackest Night. We're moving to Brightest Day. He became the chief creative officer at PC.
Yes.
Yes. Marvel, very interesting. They have a new editor-in-chief, Alex Alonso. He brought in a lot of great talents. But I also love the indie publications. I'm a big Hellboy, DPRD fan. There's a lot. So, let's talk comics later.
Okay.
Sure.
What are your either short-term or long-term goals as writing or publishing? And how are you planning on publishing them? Yeah, just choose one. What's your current research right now?
short-term, long-term, because I think for a writer, you just write and write and write. You know, you don't think of, well, I need to get this done by this, you know, this year or next year, the year after. Because when you start something, you don't even know when it's going to end. Like, for example, the one novel I've written it in the, start of 2000, and it didn't get published in 2010. So it's, you know.
What's your current unfinished project?
I'm not unfinished. They're all basically done.
I guess my long-term project would be to set up my own e-publishing company. Because for me, being in publishing, this is like the most exciting time because it's fantastic. I mean, and what sort of I think frustrates me a little bit is working for a large publisher. Advertising, just any recording in this one. And there's the fact. Publishers, I think, larger publishers, are sort of slow to adopt technology. I think there's fantastic opportunities there for small niche publishers to sort of go and do really wacky, fun, exciting publishing and take risks and do something very well. Because I just look at the sort of, if you look at some of the books where you can roll in multimedia, the opportunities there are just fantastic. And I have so many ideas of types of books you could do, you know, that involve music, you know, which I love, and bands, and just sort of weird, eclectic sort of subjects that I have strange interest in. And I just sort of think of all the multimedia you roll into books, and you click on stuff, you go through, you have links, audio, video, you know, and it just seems like there's endless potential there to sort of publish some fantastic, exciting books at a whole different level, and a long way from it. Keep me happy while I'm there.
So how are you planning on accomplishing or what's the for you?
Yeah, I'm going to get a little bit careful about how I
Alright.
Still working.
So I'm there.
still working on big company. I guess if I was to do it, I would probably come somewhere like the Philippines, where there's a lot of very creative people and you know, work with guys. Seriously, I think so. I mean, I tried to introduce some sort of slightly funky publishing into Wiley, where I was quite the first guy to do manga business books. Yes, we did manga, and we did one about Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett, as you know, is one of the wealthiest men in the world, but an extraordinarily dull man, really. I mean, he's never left his hometown in Midwest America. And we did this manga. I think it's all very well because we had a shower scene there with Warren Buffett in it. So a major selling point. I know. You won't sleep tonight, trust me, with that image. But, so that would be what I'd like to do long term.
Wow. I think of myself as a working writer, which means that I'm on off. If I'm not working, that means I don't have anything in the pipeline, I don't have anything in inventory, I'm not in the process of submitting, and I'm not in the process of waiting to get published. So I'm working, I'm a working writer. I have a couple of stories coming out the next couple of months in a couple of US anthologies. I should have my second collection of short fiction out sometime this year. March, we are launching Philippine Speculative Fiction Volume 6. And, I'm going to take the opportunity since I was formally asked, I'm like a vampire, you know, I can't enter and bite you unless we hear that. Okay, my novel Palanca is available at Fully Book, National Bookstore, all these other places. And my first collection, The Kite of Stars, my anvil is also available in those places, so check them out. Thank you.
Comic book, besides the cover, the pages, and the colors.
The general comic book did not originate necessarily in Japan. It started in the western side of the world, and it's read like a normal book. This is the most superficial of differences. Manga is read from right to left, so it's a bit confusing. They're also big on what is called decompressed storytelling. All it means is that a scene that in a US comic book would just take one page The doorbell rings. Captain America goes to answer it. Okay? And then when the door opens, it's Ultron, the supervillain. In US comics, it's just one page. In manga, that's around this many pages. Because there's a lot of, drawing there. And they write about many, many different things. Currently, a lot of the mainstream US comic books, they're about superheroes and stuff, and Archie and stuff. But in Japan, manga, wow, they have a broad range of a lot of different things. You should check it out because there are translated manga which is age appropriate for you. So no, you'll get down to this. Yeah.
This is something that you may be interested in as well, which was just a sort of short aside to this, was when I was researching manga books in Japan a couple of years ago, I talked to some of the publishers that put all these books together, and we were out for dinner one night, and this chap said to me, "Oh, you've got to see this, we've got our manga books now on the phone. Do you have this here as well? Do they put manga books on?"
No, we don't have Filipino manga books.
Oh, okay. And basically, these publishers, the manga publishers, they sell the rights to NTT.com, which is a yes, yeah. And so what they do is you can pay to get the comic on your phone. But what's fantastic about it, instead of just each time you click getting a different frame popping up, so you can read it, they fade in, they fade out, and there was one fantastic bit where there's two samurai sword fighting, and when they start fighting the scene, the phone starts jiggling in your hand. It was fantastic, it was so cool, and so I just thought it was a really nice concept, and you can do everything from children's books all the way through to manga as well.
It's a school night, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, I have a question. Some of us here are writers. The question is in two parts. First part, how do we develop? I guess as writers, we have a responsibility to develop an audience. How do we do that? Especially here in the Philippines. How do we can develop a paying audience? Because there's so much free content out there. What will make people want to buy something when they can get so much stuff for
It's actually a really good question because the question that I get asked most commonly, we get an awful lot of book proposals, and I'll meet a lot of authors, and we sort of look at the commercial viability of the project. And so we get books reviewed first of all, the proposals reviewed, and it makes us a bit jealous. But then I have to pitch the book to all of the sales and marketing directors and the sales team and get feedback from the US and London before we publish a book. And the most common question we get asked is, what is the author's platform? And you're right, I think one of the toughest things for an author to do is to build a platform. And I think with all the social networking sites these days, I think people who blog, who tweet, who write articles, I mean, seriously, from our point of non-fiction stuff, it's going out and getting your name into articles, going to speaking engagements, all of these things, anything which raises your profile and gets you out there, they're all incredibly useful platforms, and they're very persuasive for publishers because we're not starting from scratch, it's not cold, and we have to try and get this, build this guy up from the beginning. And so we publish about 50 books a year in Asia, that's all. But there's a hell of a lot of competition for those people's spaces. So if somebody has already got a name out there, and each book and each author is like brand building, So if you look at basic rules for brand building or any kind of commercial product, it's almost the same for being an author as well. If you follow the author's brand and apply it to yourself as a writer, it's a pretty good platform. It's quite a compelling reason for a publisher to want to publish your work.